Do it. Look at all you beautiful people. AOA podcast on the road, baby. We are heading off to Jay Sab's big fundraiser with the Star Legacy Foundation. We'll leave a link in the description. If you have a couple extra shekels to donate, please do so today. Today's a big fundraiser. I am in the AOA mobile on my way over there, sitting in what I think Long Island is most famous for, besides our bacon, egg, and cheese, traffic. And we're going to do a podcast for you. Going to run it down. Got all the topics here. Diddy trial. First day of deliberations. Didn't go over so well or smooth. We'll tell you about that. The big beautiful bill is definitely not going smoothly. The Freedom Caucus has some issues there. We'll share that bit of information with you all. And Mr. Epstein is back in the news because Jess Staley failed to get his name cleared in all the allegations that go along with associating yourself with Jeffrey Epstein. All that is on this episode. There's no thingy because I'm driving in a car, and this is a miracle that we're even pulling this off. So we go right into our lead topic, which of course is the Diddy trial today, the first day of deliberations. Oddly, earlier this morning, they weren't in court for too long. They weren't deliberating for that long. I think about 45 minutes or so. And then the jury sent a note to the judge. It was like, jury number 25 just doesn't get it. We're not exactly sure at this moment what it was that juror didn't get. We know that juror is a man. Jury is made up of 8 men, 4 women. So count on the guy to not get it. Men are stupid. Men are far stupider than women. I could do that. So not entirely sure what the holdup is there, but basically, I believe this juror has a European accent. He was described by some of the court reports that I saw there. So I'm not sure if maybe it was a little bit of a language barrier type of a thing. Maybe he doesn't understand the rules of what they're entirely going for. I mean, again, don't forget that, what we're talking about here is a fairly complicated racketeering, intent to traffic and prostitution, and there's several charges. Obviously, the RICO, the one that the prosecution is most likely to get, everybody seems to be agreeing upon, is the when you're bringing people across state lines with an intent to prostitute. Keep in mind, my terminology may not all be 100%. I'm trying not to die while doing this podcast. This is a 70-mile-per-hour podcast. Look how fast those cars are going by. Anyway, you do that, not good. And I feel like through all the testimony, they pretty much got that one down. Now, can they prove all the other stuff that he was masking bad boy records, was a front basically for his criminal enterprise? I don't know if they're going to get that one. From everything that I read, again, from all the legal experts, they seem to be split on, they got a good chance, or, well, the defense not calling any witnesses is a clear sign that the prosecution didn't pull it off. Again, nobody's going to know because we're not in that jury room. Only those 12 individuals are going to be the ones who decide. So we'll have to wait and see what they essentially go with. But I'm fairly certain he's not going to walk away from this scot-free. He's going to get at least a little bit, if not a majority of the charges that he is up against. This isn't an American thing, what I'm about to say, but I feel like if I'm in that jury room and I'm like, well, they didn't really prove that. However, if we were to just maybe take a little liberty here, convict him anyway, would anybody be missing Diddy is what I'm saying. Outside of his mom and his kids and like the 5 people who think he's innocent, is anybody really going to miss Diddy? I'm not. I feel like our streets are safer without him. I don't know about you, but we've gone through all the friggin' all right, I amend my previous statement. Is anybody going to miss Diddy besides his close family and the fine folks over at the baby oil company, right? Johnson & Johnson stock will tank as soon as Diddy goes behind bars because, I mean, essentially he's responsible for like 15% of baby oil sales in the United States of America. That son of a bitch did nothing but buy baby oil and Astroglide. So the Astroglide and the Johnson & Johnson people are going to take a hit here. I'm not going to lie. They are going to have a hard time, hitting those Q3, Q4 numbers. But outside of them, I don't think anybody's going to miss Diddy. Now, obviously, I'm playing around here. You can't do those things. It's better if they play by the rules. There's probably going to be appeals. There's probably going to be lots of other stuff, of course. But you know how in baseball Ty goes to the runner? I feel like Ty should go to the conviction here. If you're like split on it, if you're on that jury and you're like 50-50, let's just err on the side of conviction. That's all I'm saying. Just a little conviction. Never hurt anybody. In fact, you're probably saving lives, even though you're damaging profits for lubrication companies. Moving on to our big, beautiful bill, there was a self-imposed July 4th date that President Trump was trying to get this bill across. The bill did pass a measure in the Senate over the weekend, and then Senator Chuck Schumer insisted that that bill get read aloud, all 950 some odd pages, so they'll be there for a while doing that. And then there's going to be some amendments and lots of series of votes. If you're confused on this, don't be. The procedure for passing anything in the Senate anymore these days is quite complicated, but this definitely has some barriers to go through. One Republican senator was vehemently opposed to it, has not come around yet, and he just announced that he's not going to be seeking re-election. So he's basically pulling the plug on himself before President Trump has a chance to. I mean, essentially what's happening here is President Trump is bullying his way through all of this. And I have to be honest with you, I feel like I've been awfully fair with the president so far, but outside of just trying to get a win and just trying to avoid the original Trump tax cuts from expiring and sending everybody's taxes higher, I don't really see a reason for this. I wish he would have taken more time and been a bit more careful in the beginning at crafting something a little bit better that everybody could get behind. Right now, and I like to criticize the Democrats because Lord knows they deserve it, and I give them a hard time for not being there on messaging and not being there, for having their own platform. I mean, basically, they're just never Trump, and that's basically it. And you can't be a political party and run and win elections on that. I can criticize the Republicans in the same manner. You don't have a message. You don't have, a reason for doing this outside of, like I said, avoiding those tax hikes and just trying to get a win here. Because if you did, you would have spent a lot more time reaching across the aisle, not only trying to be bipartisan here, but also trying to be, accessible to everybody in your party, because the Freedom Caucus is not going to come along with this. The amount of Medicare, Medicaid cuts that you're looking at down the road is bad. And essentially what the Republicans are doing is they're asking for people to just trust us because it'll all work out in the end. And with all the fraud and everything else they're going to find in the Medicare system, it's going to be all right. And the problem with that statement is the first two words, trust us. You can't. I mean, that's why we have the type of government we have, right? Because we don't trust these people, and we should never trust them. We can't be like, oh, we'll make it up to you down the road. I mean, honestly, it doesn't work that way, because down the road is usually like 8 to 12 years, and the president's term is 4. So, unless Steve Bannon has his way. So that doesn't really cut the mustard. Earlier today, like around noonish or so, everybody was like, oh, we just got that one senator we got to figure out. And then just around 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Freedom Caucus was like, we can't support this, and that's a big chunk of the Republican Party, and they're going to need that with not one Democrat going along with this bill. So I don't know where that leaves us. I did start to hear some softening of the ground of, well, July 4th was a self-imposed date, and we could go a little bit farther than that if we need to. They will have a little bit more time as far as the Trump cuts, coming to a close. but still, they're kind of up against it, and I don't really see a way out of it. I know Trumpy's been working the cruise. He's got everybody in there. He's playing golf with people over the weekend. He's doing whatever he can. He's running the threats out there. He's doing what he can, but you know, I can't support him on this. I just think this is not a well thought out bill. I think a lot of the stuff has little or nothing to do with the tax situation. A lot of it is really everything I read is kind of swooping towards authoritarianism in a not so great way. Like, and it's not that has little to do with President Trump too. It's more of a state of like, I don't want the executive branch to have much more power, Trump or not. Some people would say if Frank was here, he'd be like Trump especially, which I get. It's okay if you feel that way, but we don't know who the next 10 presidents are going to be. I don't want to increase their power. I like the checks and balances. I like having Congress and the Supreme Court able to chime in. I mean, for the love of God, Trump has never had a more favorable government in the form of he's got a majority in Congress, he's got a majority in the Supreme Court, and he's still losing some battles, as a president should, but he's never had it more in his favor, and now they're trying to essentially codify some of these moves to make the executive branch more powerful. I'm not down with that. There was the AI issue that we talked about. Now, I believe that got softened in the last couple of hours, but I haven't had the time or the chance to review what that's become, and we probably won't know that full bit of information for a little while until members get out and they're able to talk to the press. So there's a lot there still to figure out. But again, just overall, there's just a lot of obstacles. There's a lot of obstacles in the way to making that big, beautiful bill happen. And again, this isn't an anti-Trump thing. It's just more of I think the bill tried to do too much, and with all the cuts, and from what most everybody says, we have those bipartisan bodies that weigh in on this. It's going to add more to the deficit, and it's not going to do what it should do. And I think that Elon leaving and the whole Doge thing not really bearing much fruit that we could substantially see right now at the moment. If like Doge was like, oh, all right, we actually did get through like 200 billion, even that's a small number, but just argument's sake, we made some progress here. Then you would feel like, all right, maybe we can root out some more and figure it out. But really, at this point, you can't put a lot of stock in that because Doge wasn't as successful as it was originally touted. And I think that the only way out for this administration right now is to break this thing up and just focus on those tax cuts and try and figure out the rest at another time. The problem with my little solution there is those tax cuts are really tied into a lot of other things too. So it's going to be not an easy venture for the president. What I really think is it's just going to come down to, can he really just bully his way through this? Can he really bully enough people in the Senate to get his way? And that's a coin toss. He might be able to do it. Just because he can do it, I would caution him not to. Get something, go back to work, figure something out where you could actually do something that is generally going to be better for the American people, because I don't know, a lot of people, even some of the Republicans that are doubting this and voting it on just to see if they can fix the other things, I mean, they're going to have to look themselves in the mirror when it comes down to it and say, have we fixed this enough to really make it work for the American people? And I just am not entirely sure that answer is going to come back as yes, So that's another element to all of this. Last story of the podcast here, and we're talking about Staley. This guy ran Barclays. He did business with Jeffrey Epstein. That's been proven. We know that. I am getting off the exit, so excuse me here as I try not to harm myself or anybody else. He was basically in an appeal in London to try and get his license back to go back to work. Now, how much of a sick fuck do you have to be? Uh, we don't. He hasn't been convicted of anything criminal, but he did admit to having sexual relations with somebody in the Epstein orbit. And then on top of that, knew sent out a memo, knew about Epstein, still decided to trade with him, whatever. He deserved to get the boot, not only from Barclays, but to not being allowed to trade anymore. This guy, who probably has got more money than forget it, he is 68 years old. He's trying to get back in the game. Just retire. Just retire. Now, listen, if I was innocent and, what, I'd want to clear my name too, but is this motherfucker innocent? Even if we want to play naive and dumb for a moment and pretend like, okay, maybe he didn't have anything to do with the worst parts of Epstein, he still had relations with somebody in his orbit. Even if that person is of age, you still did business with a known sexual predator. You should get all your shit suspended and get kicked to the curb. Go the fuck away. Why? I don't understand how we've gotten to a place in society where people don't even understand, oh, I should just go the fuck away. I screwed up big time. I shouldn't be allowed to do shit anymore. I don't know how much this guy is worth. I would imagine it's multiple millions of dollars. Just go away, you piece of shit. And there was an exchange that we do know of there. He was like, do you want Snow White? And I want Beauty. They were using like code words and shit together that just make you cringe. They're just disgusting sounding. So huge problem there. I'm happy he lost. I hope this is the end of Jay Staley. I hope they bring this motherfucker up against criminal charges is really what I hope. Because again, Ghislaine Maxwell is the only one who's faced any sort of repercussions for her association with Jeffrey Epstein. Nobody else has had to deal with any issues. And you look at who's the guy, Black there, and all these people that did business took money, all these companies and corporations that still traded with him. We just did the story the other day that he made another whatever millions of dollars off of Peter Thiel's association with him. All these guys are still walking around. No big deal. No repercussions. So, again, if I'm this guy, you got to go the fuck away. Enough is enough. And, an appeal, like the gall on some people. Sometimes I feel like, oh, I'm lucky to have this. I'm lucky to have that. I'm fortunate. Some of these people act like they got the fucking world just coming to them. And I can't for the life of me understand that mentality. I just don't. Like, be grateful, be appreciative. Some of these people have such high expectations. Like, I should be allowed to trade with the world's worst sex trafficker ever, and then, have no sort of repercussions for it. No, no. Not with the amount of victims that guy left behind in his wake. Absolutely not. That shit is downright crazy. I don't care for the lighting right now. We're in a little bit of a dark spot. I'm in a part of Long Island that I never, ever, ever go to, except when I come to JSAB's wonderful fundraising event, which of course is for the Star Legacy Foundation, which, by the way, link in the description below. If you can donate, that would be much appreciated. As you know, J Sabs lost her first baby, Diana Hope. We always raise money for her. Usually in October, we do a little bit of a push on the podcast here, and I like to mention it right around this time because they got a big fundraiser today. Lots of people out on the golf course. It is a golf fundraiser. And they're raising money. Your old pal Ant, not a big golfer, but I like to come for the dinner. Although I got sensitive tummy right now. got big sensitive tummy, so I'm not sure what I would be able to eat there. It's just like a big time fancy schmancy, golf club, and I don't think that they have steamed chicken and white rice like they do at my local Chinese place. And also, I'll tell you what I love about the Chinese people. Uh, you could insult their cooking all you want, and they're just like, no problem, just 10 minutes. Just come pick it up in 10 minutes. Because you can call there and be like, hey, can I get steamed chicken and rice with absolutely no I don't even need sauce on the side because sensitive tummy. And they're just like, what? I don't give a shit. I don't know if you could roll into Le Bernardin like that and be like, hey, just grill me up some chicken and don't put a sprinkle of salt or pepper on it, please. I don't know if like fine dining restaurants and chefs would be that open to like flavorless, bland food. But credit my Chinese friends, man. They're like, whatever, dude. If you can be here in 10 minutes, it's yours. Which you gotta love that. You gotta respect that about the Chinese takeout people. They're extraordinary. They basically, I would have been dead if it wasn't for them over the last like 3 or 4 weeks. So I don't know where your old pal Ant is going to be eating at these fancy festivities, or what I'm going to be drinking either for that much, because can't really have the booze all that much. That doesn't really help the tummy either. But anyway, I'm in a weird part of Long Island, like I know places have towns and areas, but I feel like on Long Island we have 1,000 little downtown Main Street spots, and then we have these like ridiculously stupid like 4-lane highway with places on it. There's fucking diners everywhere. I mean, our diners are really good. Our fucking diners are killer. I don't know if I could swing this around and show you the diner sitch. Look at that. There's a fucking diner right over there. Oh, this guy's gonna be upset with me because I didn't go and I got a green light. That's a big no-no. That is a big no-no. All right, I'm going. Anyway, look at this. Look at you guys getting a little tour of Long Island, home of the strip mall. This is basically what we're good at, is strip malls and golf courses and fundraisers, I think, on a Monday, no less. Oh, there's a good shot of the roof of my car. Hope you guys are enjoying that. I don't know why this isn't swinging back down around again. But that's it. I appreciate you guys coming along for the ride. Now, I will say this. I don't know if we're ever going to do this again because I almost hit like 40 people on my way. But we'll try. And I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Now, right here, if I'm able to get some more content and material with Frankie C and Jay Sabs, I'll do so. And I'll put that in. I'll put that in next. But if this episode, why are we getting a crotch shot right now? What is happening? But if this episode ends here, that means that I went through the rest of the evening without gathering said material. And that was, you got a 20-minute episode in the middle of, a commute to a golf course. I will say this. I knew what exit I had to get off on, and that was really it. I'm using my phone to record this episode, and so I haven't had GPS, and I just pulled into a golf course. I don't even know if this is the right fucking golf course, if I'm going to be totally honest with you. It doesn't really look like the place I came to when I was here last year. Oh, no, you know what? It does. It does. We made it. This would be the first time in about, I don't even know, 5 years, I made it to a location that took me longer than 20 minutes to get to and didn't rely on my GPS to do that. I have not done that in a while. It has been a really fucking long time since I've done that. This place is nice as shit, though. All right, I'm going to try and go around. Oop, almost killed this guy on the golf court. Sorry, Pops. If you kill a golfer, is that big of a deal? Hear me out. They're most likely old, right? Probably older gentlemen. And also, they just spent the day on the golf course. Like, what a way to go out. Like, I'd feel bad about killing an innocent person in any scenario, but if all things are equal and I had to hit like a person crossing the street or a person like crossing the golf course, I'd feel less worse about the golf course situation. Like that son of a bitch had a great day anyway. You know, what's the big deal? All right, we've arrived. I'll go mobile. I'll see if I can take you guys around. If there's another clip to this, big win for everybody. If not, this has been a pleasure. You guys are the best. Thanks so much for hanging with us. See you soon.